All right. Hello, everyone, and good morning. Thank you for joining us here today. As it's 10:31, maybe we'll wait a minute more for some folks to um, join our call. And I'd love if folks could share the organizations that they're with here today. Feel free to enter it into the chat. And here today we have myself, Joanna da Cunha. I'm the Environmental Justice Program Manager here at Resonant Energy. And we also have Rachel joining us today, who will be helping and answering any questions as well. Hello, Megan. Good morning. Hello, Catherine. Great to see you. Happy you were able to make it. And hello to the new folks that also have joined. Feel free to put your organization in the chat. It's great that you're here today. Thank you so much for joining. All right, I think we can get started. So thank you so much. We're excited that you're interested in solar incentives, and looking forward and wondering how to explore solar. Some folks have already entered into the chat. We have South Boston Neighborhood House, Heading Home. We also have the Winchendon School in Winchendon, and also the Haven Project. And so before we dive in, I would like to share how we got here to today's conversation. We find ourselves in a really critical moment that allows for a great amount of funding to both explore and implement solar in our communities. And we wanted to get the word out to our community. And speaking to different partners, I was connected with Nicole Shiner from United Way Mass Bay. And upon sharing these details, she also wanted to get this information out. And today, this webinar can serve as, and our goal is to make sure you have clarity and confidence as you evaluate whether solar makes sense for your organization and how to take advantage of funding and incentives now and later. So this webinar is designed for staff who touch facilities, budgets, or long-term planning, or would like to be a climate champion for your nonprofit to explore solar. So if you're responsible for operating costs, capital planning, or keeping your buildings running efficiently, today should be relevant to you. And so I'll briefly introduce myself and share why we work so closely with nonprofits like yours. So my name is Joanna, as I had mentioned before. And so my background is in the nonprofit sector. For the last decade, I've seen how troubling it is to allocate costs, savings to budgets. And so I made my transition to clean energy to be a connector in this space to help nonprofits like you access savings to create more programming. My work here at Resonant includes speaking to nonprofits such as you, around solar, education and outreach, and speaking with community partners as well to think about how we can implement that more in the community. And of course, to ensure equity is at the forefront of it all. So who's Resonant Energy? We are a local Boston-based solar developer, and we work all throughout Massachusetts. We specialize in nonprofits and helping nonprofits navigate solar in a practical and low-risk way. Our technical expertise helps guide nonprofits and affordable housing providers understand the state and federal incentives and how solar can benefit you for the next 25 years. We are a certified B Corp and 100% employee owned. And I think that really highlights our focus on caring for people in the community. Our work expands internally and externally. And I think the best way to understand our work is to see where it's already happening. We've installed over 400 solar projects for nonprofit institutions across the state, navigating both state incentives, federal incentives, and of course, the operational realities that come with exploring solar. We specialize in rooftops and on-site parking canopies. Each project has its own story. Each project may have had grants, loans, or no-cost options, and we are able to create financial solutions that work for them. And so all of these projects started with a simple low lift first step. So I want to share briefly how we work with teams at a high level. So working with nonprofits is our focus, so it is our expertise. We know the financial, governance, incentives, the entire jam. Other companies focus on large commercial, etc. Good for them. That's not our business. Our mission is to specifically address the needs of nonprofits. We're a leader in this space with over 15 megawatts of solar installed. We function as a turnkey partner, serving as both consultant and construction manager for our clients. We manage the entire solar construction process, ensuring all key milestones and deadlines are met efficiently. We navigate permitting, inspections, and regulatory requirements to keep the projects on track. We break down electricity costs, incentives, and credits so you see exactly how much you'll save with solar. And our detailed projections help plan for long-term and help you make smart and informed decisions. And on the partnerships teams, which I sit on, we enjoy building projects that are mission aligned and most interested in community development through solar expansion and access, and ones that speak to the environmental, economic, and health bottom line of the community. And lastly, we make it a priority to ensure our collaboration with impact financiers and lenders is client-centric. So as we center your priorities, we aim to create affordable financial models to make your project a success. So we've been doing this work for the last decade. Our proven partnerships demonstrate our focus on what it means to work with others who are equally invested in the clean energy transition. We are the vetted partner with the City of Cambridge on their solar program, providing technical assistance for their commercial buildings in the city, and we're entering our second year with them. Our work in affordable housing has granted us 6 years working with LISC, Massachusetts, providing affordable housing developers with technical assistance. And right now, which I'm very excited to share with you about a little bit later, is we're running our solar upgrading nonprofits campaign. We are in our second round, and this is in collaboration with the Providers Council and Essex County Community Foundation. And this specific program allows for nonprofits to explore solar and receive stipends while they're doing so. So these partnerships show what's possible. Now let's talk about what solar can do specifically for your building and community. And so when we talk with CBOs and other nonprofits, the reasons for exploring solar usually fall into a few clear buckets. And here is what we're hearing on the ground. First is stewardship, not just environmental stewardship, but stewardship of facilities and resources for the future generations. Many see clean energy as aligned with their values and responsibility to the communities that they serve. Second is timing. The federal tax credits right now are available to nonprofits and are significant, but they're not permanent. And there's a real opportunity right now to capture value that simply won't exist the same way in the future. And we'll show you how to take advantage of with some simple steps later. And third is financial flexibility. Reducing operating costs creates room in the budget, whether that's funding programs or in reinvesting in your facilities. And so these, I would say, are the most common drivers, but every nonprofit has its own mix. And that's why we explore on a case-by-case basis with each nonprofit that comes through our doors. And while these motivations make sense, they're shaped by the realities of energy costs and infrastructure in Massachusetts. And so I think it's important to think about the big picture. Solar is not just about clean energy, but it's about creating long-term value for both our organizations in our community and the folks that we serve. So you may be asking yourself, why go solar, especially when there's so many other projects you could be spending your time on and feeling particularly maybe uncertain right now with everything that is going on as well. So I wanted to highlight some of the reasons our clients have been motivated and encouraged to start exploring solar. So Massachusetts has some of the highest and most volatile electricity prices in the country. That unpredictability makes a long-term financial planning more difficult for leadership teams. So electricity prices in Mass have been steadily increasing. You can see in the graph here from the U.S. Energy Information Administration that there is not only a clear upward trend in average electricity prices, the blue line there, but that Massachusetts electricity prices are significantly higher than the national average, the yellow line. And so part of this reason is reliance on imported oil and gas, which makes prices unpredictable and subject to spikes from global events. As you can see there was a large spike after the war in Ukraine broke out. And I know that a lot of orgs here are also within the Boston area. And I just wanted to add that in Boston, we're ranked as one of the top 5 cities for energy burden, which means Boston area residents are spending a high percentage of their income on electricity costs. So under this new administration, the cost of electricity is expected to rise more quickly than before. And our governor predicts that the tariffs imposed will increase electricity costs by potentially 200 million a year. And so when we think about facility managers and executive teams, this means uncertainty and pressure on budgets, while also needing to meet state sustainability goals like net zero by 2050. I'd say that the key takeaway here is that electricity prices have risen roughly 65% over the past decade. And this energy landscape creates both challenges and opportunities, which is why the recent changes to state and federal incentives matter more than ever for your organization. So state and federal policies have made solar significantly more affordable for nonprofits. However, it's going away in the federal space. And we want to ensure you capture those credits before they do expire. Many of you may have heard of the Inflation Reduction Act, or IRA. It was passed in 2022 and significantly improved the economics of solar, especially for nonprofits. It was the largest climate bill ever passed by Congress and offers some of the strongest incentives for solar to date. At a high level, the IRA increased the base federal tax credit for solar to 30% and locked it in for 10 years. So that is the yellow box that you see there. On top of that, some projects can qualify for additional incentives depending on the location of the building, the community impact from the solar array, or domestic equipment that was sourced for the project. In some cases, those incentives can cover well over half of the project's costs. And most importantly, for nonprofits, the IRA introduced direct pay. And that means for tax-exempt organizations like yours, you could receive the tax credit as a cash reimbursement from the IRS, typically in the first year the system is operating. However, However, for the most recent changes, President Trump's H.R. 1, the One Big Beautiful Bill Act, rolled back major portions of the Inflation Reduction Act and accelerated the phase out of several federal clean energy tax credits. While that shortens the timeline, these incentives are still available, and there is a limited window to take advantage of them before they expire. And so for projects that are completed by the end of 2027 qualify for the for the investment tax credit, and organizations have the ability to safe harbor their project, which means saving their project And it allows for you to optimize time and planning for the next 4 years within the ideas of, do I have enough time? Yes, you do. We are talking about the safe harbor piece, and with that, the safe harbor deadline is July 4th, 2026. And the good news is that while the tax credits are phasing out on the federal side, SMART, our Massachusetts incentive, folks are able to enroll, and that allows for significantly higher incentives across a number of projects, including community solar and parking canopies. And I'd say for this piece, the incentives are still really strong, but timing and early planning matter more than they did before. And when those incentives are combined together, the opportunity becomes even stronger. So heard from many folks as to how are they going to pay for solar, when they've had an outdated heating system or limited cash. And so right now, I'd like to share the incentive sweet spot. There's a rare overlap of grants, tax credits, and incentive programs that create what we call an incentive sweet spot. And your organization is eligible for all of these incentives that we've listed here. Let's begin with the grant programs that will help you explore or install your system. And we want to get that into your hands as much as possible. So let's get to it. SUN, our Solar Upgrading Nonprofits program. It's an internal program with the Providers Council and Essex County Community Foundation. It's our technical assistance program and helps nonprofits explore solar. The application is live. And essentially, we will walk you through the process of looking at your building, going through an entire solar feasibility assessment, and helping you understand what it looks like for solar at your organization. We then have an installation grant, which is the Low Income Services Solar Program. And this is funded by the Department of Energy Resources. It's about a $6 million pot, and the next application round opens March 2nd and closes March 31st. And I think it's really important to note that this is also a big piece of why we're talking to you here today, because for the first round of LISP applicants, for the LISP grant recipients, we're proud to share that 2 of the 3 awardees are participants of our renewable energy programs. So they both completed the SUN program, and we were able to support them through the LISP application program, or process rather. And Resonant does have an in-house grant writer and an incentive team to help you apply. And I would like to also note that Rachel is our in-house grant writer. And as I had mentioned, we did talk about the federal and tax credit here, and also our SMART credit, which is run through Massachusetts, which allows for a 20-year revenue stream. So let's review how long, this sweet spot lasts and how you can take advantage now and later too. So here I've shared a visual of, the next 6 months of essentially what this sweet spot entails from January all the way till July 4th. So at this stage, folks are not required, to have everything figured out. We would like you just to start the application process through our SUN program to begin exploring solar. And so the opportunity is very much still in reach. So by applying to our first program here, you have the SUN program. We have that program up until, 2027. We have the LISP program, the installation grant that I had referred to, that will roughly end, we're assuming, in 2026 with another round we're also hoping for, as there have been really great wins for these projects. And then we also have the federal ITC, which is phasing out, and our SMART program in Massachusetts, which is here for a very, very long time. And so I know that this incentive sweet spot is really amazing. And so I'd like to show you in practice what this can really look like with the investment tax credit and the incentives we have. So this is one of our projects or nonprofits that we worked with for the entirety of all of these incentives. So I'd like to show you how they have really been able to take advantage of the incentive sweet spot. So they applied to SUN in June 2025 and received the proposal over the summer. We then helped them apply to the LISP grant in the fall, which was awarded in January 2026. and that LISP grant was up to $500,000. They received a tax credit, which comes from the federal subsidy, about $300,000. And then they also received the SMART credit as well, which is set to value over the next 20 years in cash payments. And so we're looking at these lifetime savings, and we're really excited about them because they have about 2 million, almost 3 million, right, in savings over the next 25 years that we have. They break even in year one. So their entire installation or their entire solar array was covered. Costs have been covered, which has been pretty significant for us. And we want to bring you along this journey to see how you may be able to qualify as well. All right, so now that we've covered the why and the opportunity of the incentive sweet spot, let's talk about what solar could look like for your building and the different financing options that you have. But also thinking about the timeline that we presented, how both scenarios, if you're ready to have that conversation, what that can look like, and maybe what it also looks like after the investment tax credit. So there are multiple ways to approach solar, including ownership and no upfront cost models. So to give you the best possible outcome, our feasibility analysis typically includes more than 7 designs and financial scenarios. So these are the 3 models we see most for our clients. So we have direct ownership, allows the client to own the system and receive most benefits from the state and federal incentives. We have the power purchase agreement, and that focuses on a no cost option, giving your organization the chance to not worry about upfront costs. The system is owned by a third-party financer with this model, and we've seen great cost savings for organizations. At the moment, our third-party finances are assisting projects that are over 100 kilowatts. And lastly is also community shared solar, and the option that you'd also like to share those credits with the community. We can also model what that looks like as well. And so really quickly, I'd like to ask, are any of these models, you know, do they stick out to you? Do any of these financial models stick up to you? You can enter that into the chat. But I just wanted to give a breather and also just see if there's any interest in any of these models. All right, we'll move on to the next one. Okay, so in the case of understanding what those financial models could potentially look like, we also wanted to show you what a model, what a nonprofit looks like during the current ITC space and after the ITC space. So we have a nonprofit here with, I would say, a sizable roof, large sizable roof, about 300 kilowatts of a system. Under the current ITC incentive space or incentive sweet spot, they were able to safe harbor and secure the federal tax credit and receive a 30% reimbursement, which roughly brought them to around $300,000 back into their project. And so with that incentive in place, the system would essentially pay for itself in about 7 years, and it generates about a 12.3 internal rate of return. And so over its lifetime, it saves the organization about $1.6 million, which is pretty phenomenal. And now what happens if you're not too sure about this timeline and there's a little bit of concern? Well, there's really great opportunity for you as well. Here we have the same nonprofit and kind of what that would look like. So their payback period stretches slightly, and the internal rate of return decreases, but they're no longer capturing the 30% incentive, right? But even in that, they still have a really great smart incentive, right? That tax credit allows for nearly $700,000 in direct savings. So over the course of their solar system lifetime, they're saving $1.3 million. And so, yes, the incentive improves the economics, but even without it, the numbers remain strong and compelling for a nonprofit organization. And so we wanted to assure you that there is still a really great opportunity for the now and also for later as well. And so we definitely encourage you to move forward and to have that conversation with us. Even if you don't feel fully ready, this is a moment to explore, and we're here to help you evaluate what that specific situation looks like for your organization. And so let's talk about how to take action. So we've seen what this looks like in practice. Now let's break down how you can actually secure these incentives and the potential of exploring solar as well and help you identify what's available to you. So we have the Sun Grant, which is, I would say, the first step, right? And so the best way to start this is we will enter into the chat essentially the link for our program. And so we ask that you apply online, which you'll hear back from my colleague Sana in about 1 to 2 weeks. If accepted, Resonant will call to initiate a feasibility analysis, which is essentially taking a look at your building, your needs, hearing your needs, and getting a sense of the electricity costs that you have. The next piece of that is essentially then meeting with us for a proposal call. And with that, we'll be able to talk to you about different financial situations that work for you. And so once you complete that SUN program, we'd like to make sure that we can help you apply for the next, grant potentially. So we could help you apply for LISP if that is also an opportunity that you are interested in exploring to help install your solar system. All right, and so here's a stipend breakdown, which we'll be able to share with you a little bit, whether we share the slides or during our conversation, but this is kind of what it looks like, depending on how many sites you own. All right, and so for those who are interested in thinking about a timeline that would allow for us to hit the safe harbor deadline a little bit closer, I've outlined it here. So we ask for your discovery call, just a conversation with us by March 13th. So we have about 2 weeks. We then would like to begin the proposal piece, the solar feasibility and understanding your building. So March 27th. We'll have that information. We'll get our analysis team to get started, and then we'll start an actual proposal meeting. So we'll sit down with you and have that conversation. And then we ask for you to sign the letter of intent, which essentially is saying that you're committing to exploring solar, and we'll begin preliminary engineering work. And then if you are interested in moving forward and we've been able to allocate funding for your project and everything in between, we ask that you sign a contract and safe harbor your project by June 15th. And to reiterate, safe harboring is allowing for you to have more time to make your decision and allowing you to sign a contract. Basically, we're asking 5 to 10% of a safe harbor payment for your project. And so, with all that to say, there is a deadline here, but there's also the opportunity to not go based off of this deadline too, if that is of concern. So if folks are ready to get started and have any questions, I'm here. Of course, I'd like to leave this available for folks to ask any questions as well. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining. I'll leave the chat open. So if anyone has any questions, feel free to put them in the chat, and Rachel and I will answer them. And I'd just like to share really quickly also the Sun application with folks, or the Sun, rather our Sun page on our website for folks to take a look at the Sun program and also be aware of the benefits for you. And I hope that everyone will be able to take advantage of the incentive sweet spot that we're in right now. All right. Thank you. Great seeing you here, Sarup. Thank you, Megan. Thank you, everyone. Hope you have a good day. Bye, Tiana. All right.
Great. If anyone has any questions, we'll be following up over email. Thanks, everybody.